in. We'll just let them come on in, but we're gonna get started. We got some questions for you. And then I'd love just at the very end, maybe the last 10, 15 minutes or so, just to open it up for anybody that's on the
Works
Zoom
for me.
to ask you some questions and just get your intake, your story, who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished. So I was actually researching you prior to interviewing you, and I found an Inman article that was written about you. Inman? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the article.
Yeah, about your success and your story and how you were Rookie of the Year and what you had accomplished, and so I'm excited to hear more about your story and how you got to where you are today.
I'll have to look for that article. You could forward it to me if you have it available.
Yeah, for sure. I can send it to you. Yeah, it's a well-written article. So Amanda, you are a rock star. In fact, one of my agents who's in the room, Mary Yakub, every time your name has come up or Minneapolis in general comes up, she talks about you and how great you are and how much you impacted her by being on the same bowl team with you. And so I wanted to let you know that. And then also that was a big part of the reason why we wanted to just get to know you, who you are, and hear your story and what got you to where you are today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Amanda, tell us, what did you do before real estate?
Okay. So after I finished school at the U of M, I got into nonprofits. When I got into college, I was very focused on going into business. I grew up in an entrepreneur family. They owned restaurants growing up. So that's probably where you're getting a lot of the entrepreneurship from my history. But when I went to college, I took a few sociology classes and learned that 1% of the population owns 90% of the wealth. And then I'm like, that doesn't sound like the American dream that I was taught growing up, right? So I was like, instead of going into business, I wanted to make a difference in the world. So I got into nonprofits and I got into working in development disabilities and mental health. I was working in the vocational programs, helping people with disabilities find employment. So now the cool part is that, my job was actually to cold call, to call employers. So I would reach out to people like Menards, Chipotle, Savers to see what their hiring needs are. And then basically let them know that I've got people that can fill the positions and that my job was to train them so that they could be just as competitive as the general public. Yep. Sorry.
Oh, don't worry. I thought there was a dog in the training room. I'm like, what about their dog today? Awesome. Okay.
Let me shut my door really quick. Hold on.
You're fine.
Dog's been disinvited to the party.
Yeah, bye-bye dog. Okay, so you were doing that and then you got into real estate in 2015?
Yep, so the person I was dating was in real estate and they said you should get into real estate. And, I had never thought about real estate prior to that, oddly enough. It wasn't in my circle of a bunch of realtors. So the idea of becoming a realtor was not something that I've thought about ever until he had mentioned it. Yeah. And so that was actually scary to me, right? All commission. I had just bought a house. I had student loans to pay off. And it's the uncertainty of what my income was going to look like was what was scary to me.
For sure. So
he's like, you're going to do fine. I know who you are. You're going to be fine. So I took that leap of faith, got into real estate, and then just, did door knocking and open houses before I was even licensed. When I was getting my license. And then as soon as I passed my test and got my license, I had a deal within a week because I had already been lead generating up until that point.
Yep. Wow. Good for you. So you were prospecting before you even got really licensed and you had that head start. Awesome.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people that are interested in real estate, it's start prospecting first and see if you can find leads and then go get your real estate license. And a lot of people think that they need a real estate license to prospect, which is, not true. How many ISAs are not licensed, right? So this, I need to get a license before I can start lead generating. That already tells you don't have the right mindset for real estate, unfortunately.
Yep. You were hungry enough to go out there and find it first to get that pipeline built up. So then when you got that license, you were off, right?
Right.
So you got into real estate 2015. Now, when you got into real estate, Did you start at Keller Williams? Did you start it for a company, or how did you choose Keller Williams?
Yeah. So the person I was dating was at like a smaller brokerage. And when I was in class, I was talking to my peers, and I was talking to a lady that was already signed up with a really well-known team at Keller Williams. And I told her, I was like, I just want to focus on sales. I don't want to do any paperwork. I just want to focus on my one thing, which I didn't know was a thing before. And she's like, I'm a part of this team. They do a lot of deals. And, why don't you join them and they can get you started? So I did start with the team.
Okay.
And then I was on the team for about 10 months. And then after that, I hopped off, and I was part of an expansion group, and I didn't have as much hands-on as I would have liked. So then that's what was my decision to jump off and then do it independently.
And you did it independently. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that a majority of my leads were from my sphere. So if that was the case, then maybe that team structure wasn't as fruitful as someone that would be heavily dependent on the leads.
Got it. Yep. So when you started in real estate, because we have a lot of new agents in the training room, what was your greatest challenge? Like what, back in 2015, 2016, what were your challenges and how did you overcome them?
When you get into real estate, you have so many things thrown at you. Do this, do this, do this. And it's like, you got to figure out what you like to do and what you're good at. Mm-hmm. After some time, there isn't what you like to do. You just have to lead generate. Yep. Now, whether that's going to be cold calling or open houses, door knocking, or now it's like calling the people your sphere, right? Your DTD2. You can't avoid that. Stop reinventing the wheel. There isn't a magic pill like working out and dieting. There's not a magic pill. You just got to do the work. Mm-hmm. So I think coming to terms and just like, all right, this is a plan, and sticking with it and building that consistency and habit was the biggest piece. Challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So consistency and staying, because there's a million things I know you could do every day. Social media especially you have all these interruptions, but it's all lead generation and staying focused. What about like last year? What would you say was your biggest challenge in 2020?
Oddly enough, so prior to 2020, I had a team, and it was a business decision, a personal decision to just kind of change it and go back to independent. I noticed, when I had a team, I was working less with clients and more with agents. And I've learned that my passion is to work with clients. Mm-hmm. I want to report to them. I want them to be the ones that I focus my energy on. Mm-hmm. So 2020 was probably my best year. And throughout the whole pandemic and everything else going on in the world, like the biggest piece of 2020 is to focus on what you can control. Mm-hmm. No matter whatever happens in the environment, whether that's a recession, a pandemic, whatever is going on, you can't control any of those things. You can only control how you think and you act and what you're going to do about it, right? Mm-hmm. So you can either use it as an excuse, or you're going to say, you know what, I'm still going to do me, and the results showed. Like mm-hmm. looking back at 2020, I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of spending time with family. I flipped about 4 houses, and I sold 91 homes. So it's like, it didn't change anything.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us about like what specifically did you do things different in 2020? Because, obviously 2020 came out of nowhere. We weren't anticipating this pandemic, especially in Minnesota and Minneapolis. I mean, Minneapolis went through a lot with what happened, and there was just a lot going on, right? So and this wasn't one of the questions I had written down I was going to ask you, but did you do anything different? Did you have to transition the way you did business to accommodate the market that we weren't anticipating?
I mean, yeah, learning how to use Zoom, right? And I'm such a people person, and I wanted to meet people and use that as an excuse to not meet with people, right? And now it's giving them a choice. Do you want to meet in person, or do you want to do a Zoom call? And it's not going to stop me from meeting with someone. Whereas mm-hmm. before I was like, didn't even mention anything about Zoom.
Yep. What percent of your business or clients do you do Zoom meetings with? Is it like 50-50, or what's been working well?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that this type of market removed anyone that wasn't serious. And for me, that's beautiful, right? Don't waste my time unless you're serious. So there's no tire kickers. There's no people that are on the fence. It's either I have to sell or I have to buy. There is no, it would be nice. So that did save me a lot on, working with people that, I shouldn't be working with.
Yeah.
So if you look at the past years, I probably went on a lot more listing appointments that I probably shouldn't have been on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So,
or test the market, or we're, just curious to know what our home is worth.
And I mean, how deflating is that, right? How discouraging is it to go on appointments that are not qualified? So, I think that probably helped with my quality of life. Like I said to you, that I felt like 2020 was my best year because I was focused on people that were motivated. But if you're constantly going on appointments that they're not signing because they're not really motivated, you're going to feel like you're not doing anything that works. So I think that was the beauty of this market.
As you weren't spinning your wheels, you were, much more effective with your conversion rate, I'm sure, especially. So more Zoom meetings. So do you still do a lot of Zoom meetings, or do you prefer to meet people in person if possible?
For listing appointments, I don't do Zoom meetings. I still do in person. And that, again, helps with my conversion rates, right? They're not going to have me come out unless they're serious about selling.
Yep.
So I'm doing a better job at qualifying. So now it's setting up that standard now, once we come out of this, is that I'm not going to come over there because I know how much time I saved by not doing that. And then with buyers, I think it's been half and half of Zoom versus in person.
Okay, which awesome. So you get more time back with buyers too with those meetings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So share with us, what does your daily schedule look like?
So the beginning of 2020, I was, on a really tight schedule, wake up at 5, go to the gym by 6. And then when everything started to shut down, I did my best to keep that schedule, and do at-home workouts and whatnot. And then obviously it fell to the wayside. So at the end of 2020, I took action and I hired a trainer. So I first started with 3 times a week at 6 in the morning, and now I'm at 5 times a week because like those days that I don't go, it just ruins my schedule. So I'm back to the wake up at 5, at the gym by 6, back home by 7:38, shower, and then back on the computer by 9 o'clock. And then theoretically I'm lead generating.
Yep.
And then, I'm on appointments in the afternoon, and, I'm wrapping up around 6 or 7, have dinner, and then going down for the night.
Okay. Great. Do you work a lot of weekends?
So when it comes to real estate, I love it. It's my passion. I'm good at it. It no longer is work to me. So I don't feel like I'm working all the time. I look at it as it's a lifestyle. So when I am in town, yes, I am going to be working. I'll show houses if I need to, or meet with clients if I need to. But it's just like a couple hours out of the day, right? So it's like I organically live this lifestyle. I go get my nails done and I get a lead. I go out to eat, I get a lead. So it's like I don't have to chain myself to the computer all day to make my calls, because these are the conversations I'm going to have every day with whoever I come in contact with.
Yep.
Like I went and got my glasses at LensCrafter, and she's like, "Oh, you're a realtor?" She's looking to buy a house next spring. So it's like it just exudes from my body that I'm a realtor. I don't like, I'm not going to compartmentalize real estate with friends or whatever, where I know a lot of people that are like that. They're like, this is my personal time. I'm not going to talk about work. And I don't know if that's going to be helpful in your business.
Yeah. So you live, breathe, eat, sleep, dream real estate.
Oh yeah.
It's part of who you are. It's in your blood.
And that's why a lot of people work with me, because they know that they can see and feel the passion of it.
Yep. I can sense it from you already. Yeah. And this isn't one of the questions I had for you, or I give it to you in advance, but I just was curious, do you know what like your top 3 lead sources were last year, or what they've been in the past?
Client referrals, past clients, sphere of influence.
So just people you already know. Do you buy any internet leads currently?
I mean, I pay for Zillow so that I could be like one of those premier agents, but I used to focus on them when I had a team, but now it's like there have been times where I would stop what I'm doing, like having dinner with my family, to take a call that already had an agent.
Yeah.
So it's like, once I've done that so many times, it's like, nope, I should be working on my data bank versus these cold, leads.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about your database. Do you have an idea, like how many people do you have in it? Do you have systematic touches in place? Do you do client events? Yeah, and if, just what's working for you?
So I've got about 1,900 people in my command, and then
Okay.
800 of those are on my 36 touch. I have a 36 touch map. I have maps coaching, and this is my third coach that I'm with right now. I fired my other two because they were too nice to me. When I'm paying $1,000 a month, I need to make sure that they're holding me accountable. And so it's like, when I hired my third one, she's like, yeah, this one makes people cry. I'm like, perfect, sign me up. When I hired my trainer, my fitness trainer, I told him, I'm like, I'm giving you permission to like be tough on me. Like, I'm paying you to be tough on me. Don't let me get away with anything. So one day he was like, did you meal prep? If not, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. You told me to do it. And if I didn't do it, there's a consequence to it. So, I mean, that's the biggest piece of my success, is the discipline. Like, discipline is what gets results. And if you don't have the discipline and you don't like feeling like being held accountable, you're in the wrong business. Go work your 9-to-5 job.
Yes. I love what you just said. That's powerful, right? So you have 1,900 people in your database. You are following a 36 touch campaign where you're touching them roughly 3 times a month, and you have a coach.
Yep. And then, so I'm sending out weekly emails. I was resistant on it for the longest time. I was like, I know how it feels when I get those emails. I just like unsubscribe every time I see one I don't like. So I've got this drunk monkey telling me like, these emails don't work. Mm-hmm. Well, when you have a 36 touch database that are your raving fans, like, they love to hear from you. They want to hear from you. And you have to do a good job at putting content in there that's interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So like, that's the part of like social media that I do like, is that, I'm putting up my travels and putting up my fitness goals, and people like to see a human behind this like high powered like agent, right? So yeah, I send out weekly emails, and I will get people that will respond out of nowhere, and it's working for you without you knowing it.
Yep. Tell us about social media. Are you utilizing social media to build your business, or?
I mean, I just do my post on Facebook. I make sure I try to post like once a day or twice, like every other day. I have Snapchat. I don't do much on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And do you get a lot of business from social media, or?
I feel like it's a place for you to stay top of mind. Mm-hmm. So even though no one might like my photo or my post, but I'll meet with them, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw you did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I don't remember you saying anything, but they're watching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about what things do you time block, and how do you make sure you stay on schedule?
I put everything in my calendar. If it wasn't for my calendar, I wouldn't even know what I'm doing every day. I have what time I wake up on there, what time I go to the gym, what time I have my lunch, what time I have my dinner, what time I'm meeting with everyone. Like, it dictates what I do every day.
Yeah. Do you use a digital calendar, or do you use like a planner, like a paper planner?
I use Google Calendar. I'm Google everything.
Google everything. Okay. And that's how you keep yourself on track.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. And let's talk about investing in real estate. Now, you said that you flipped 4 properties this year, in addition to selling over $24 million in volume, which is incredible. Tell us about that. Where do you find properties? How long have you been flipping? Do you do all of the, the work yourself, contracting with people? Tell us a little bit about that.
So my first flip was the house that I bought back in 2009 before I even got into real estate. It was, nicely done in the top floor, and the downstairs was unfinished. So then over time, I finished it, add a bedroom, add a bathroom, and now my house is worth, I bought it for $120. Now it's worth like $230. and I put about 30 grand into it. And I'm like, oh, well, that was fun. So, I already knew what I needed to know and building the relationships with the contractors. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important piece of investing. It's not the money, right? There's so many people that come to me and say, I got 50 grand, let's do something. And said, honey, that ain't nothing, right? And fighting the property is a big thing. But it has to be off market properties, right? There's been a few of them that I have found off the MLS, but they're kind of anomalies. But I don't know. It's just living and breathing real estate. I don't really intentionally look for them. They organically kind of pop up. So the first one I did this year was from meeting with a buyer, and I looked at his credit. Well, not me, but we looked at his credit, and we noticed that there was a house on his name that was going into foreclosure, basically. And we said, if your ex-wife doesn't sell this house, you're not going to be able to buy a house for in the next 3 years. And I'm like, what's going on with this house? And he's like, well, she's trying to sell it to Zillow, but I don't know. And I'm like, well, give me her number and let me contact her. Maybe I can do something about it. Looked at the property, offered her whatever she needed to offer to get out of it, flipped it and sold it, and actually had a buyer that was looking at that neighborhood. So because I'm trying to help this other person, other opportunities just comes up.
Yep. There you go. Wow.
Other ones might be, my friend's cleaner's mom needs to move out of their house. It looks like 1960s. Well, let's flip it and let's sell it. They didn't want to deal with it. So it just organically comes out, and you just have to always put in that law of attraction out there.
Yep. And it finds you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really neat. Do you plan on flipping more real estate in the future? Do you enjoy it? Do you find that you sold 91 houses last year. Is it a lot of extra work for you, or do you have great systems in place?
Every single seller that I help, I'm basically flipping their house.
Got it.
Like, I will never put a house on the market leaving any money on the table. And so if every house needs carpet, paint, appliances, countertops, like if it needs to be done, I'll make it happen for them to make sure that they maximize on their bottom line.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing it with your clients in addition to your own personal portfolio.
Yeah. One of the houses I sold in South Minneapolis, we added a bedroom, a bathroom, painted the whole house, put in flooring throughout the whole house. And he's like, I don't even know how you did it. You basically GC'd the entire project. Yeah. So your question is, do I do the work? I don't do the work, but I manage the work. So I've got an electrician, a plumber, an HVAC, a floor installer, all that stuff. And I'll just manage all of it.
Yeah. I suppose too, when you're doing all those things over and above that a lot of realtors aren't willing to do, especially, these discount companies like the Redfins and the Open Doors and so forth, that because you're willing to do all that extra work and go above and beyond, you're getting so much more referrals from those clients, I would
Absolutely.
imagine.
I mean, I would say 75, if not 80% of my listings, I'll take 7%, and I show them the value. Like, yep. You hire me at 7%, you get all of this. If commission is your biggest thing, well, you get it for this much and you don't get any of that stuff. And they always pick the 7%. Even the lady that I found to buy my own townhome. So I door knocked this house. I asked them if they would like to buy or sell their home, and they wanted to get into a single family, and they needed like 25,000 plus work to be done on the house. And I wasn't going to put my money up for that. I said, here's my offer to the house. And, once they moved out, I found them a new home, and then I flipped that house and then did an open house. And one of the neighbors came over and says, I want to buy this unit. If I work with you, are you going to give me a discount on listing my home? And I said, let's talk about when I get over there. So when I go over there, I listed all the things that she needed done. And I said, at 7%, I'll coordinate everything. And she's like, well, why don't you just give me the number to the people? And I'm like, oh, honey, but these are the prices that they give me. So, she's like, okay, fine, let's just do the 7%. So she went from, will you give me a discount for double siding this deal on my listing? And she still paid because she knows that the value is there. You can't charge people something that you're not willing to give the value to, right? You got to work for it, you got to earn for it. And I would rather work hard versus work less and then charge a less commission.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I think what you said is so powerful. If you give them options and you show value, people will pay more. In fact, they've done studies and said consumers will pay up to 19% more to have a better experience.
Right.
So it's not always all about the money, but you gotta know what that experience is and what you're gonna do,
Right.
which
So
you're
when
showcasing.
you mess up, you're like, well, let me just cut my commission. How about you say, well, how about I pay for your movers then? How about I pay for cleaners to come through so that like you're making their life easier. Saving
Easier.
them $1,000 doesn't mean anything, but for them to not have to pack their stuff and move, that is like priceless, right? So
Mhm.
you have to understand, like, look at yourself as a consumer. You don't want to try to save money. You just want to make the experience like flawless.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I like that you said that. Do you work with a lot of investors or any builders?
I don't work with any builders. I I guard my time very wisely. And that's why I'm like, you're lucky, Mary, you put Mary's name into this, because I would have said no. But I guard my time very, very well, because I know whatever you're saying yes to, you're saying no to something else. So
Mhm.
I don't like wasting my time at all.
Mhm.
I haven't really met any investors that is worth my time, because
Got
they'll
it.
come to me and say, hey, I got 100,000, let's do something. I'm like, that's nothing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
You
The
need
investors that
cash.
I'll work with is like, hey, I'll buy that house, you flip it, we'll split the profits. Cool.
Yep. Got it. Very to the point. I like that about you. Um, what about like classes? What classes that have you taken within Keller Williams that have made the biggest impact on your success?
Well, I mean, well, I model my business, my mindset, my everything after Bold. I've
Yep.
taken Bold 10 times now, and like, even though I haven't taken it in the last year, you hear it, everything I say is just like it comes out just naturally now.
Yep. So Bold has made a massive impact on your success. What about books? Is there any books that you've read that really impacted your business?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of audiobooks. Before, when I wasn't training with a trainer, I would listen to books while I work out. I mean, if you work out an hour a day for 5 days a week, you can finish a book in basically 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
So I do have a lot of books that I have read. A lot of them. The 10X Rule from Grant Cardone is really good. Um, I mean, I can share my book list if you guys want me to, but I mean,
Mhm. That's been a good book. Awesome. What about have you read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent?
yeah.
Of course, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and obviously you've applied it to your business. And coaches, you said you have a MAPS coach, you're on your third MAPS coach. Have you had any other coaches or anybody else in your world that has made an impact, whether it's someone in your market center or a mentor outside of real estate?
I feel like at this point in my career, the MAPS coach is the one person that I lean on, and a lot of it is just reminding me to get back to the numbers, like
Mhm.
how many calls do I need, how many people do I have in my database, how many people I need on my 36 touch to get the results I'm looking for. So
Mhm.
that's what's helpful for me, to run through the numbers.
Yeah, is having that coach accountable to those numbers. Yep. Yeah. What what's your vision for your business? Like, what do you want to accomplish in 2021? So just so everyone knows, I'm going to share your numbers. You did over $700,000 last year in gross commission income, $24 million in volume, and you sold 91 units. Where are you going from here, or what's next for you?
The one thing that I appreciated in one of my coaching calls is that, when I was running a team, I think the most I've ever sold in a year was 176 transaction. And it's like, there's definitely teams out there selling 300, 500,000 houses a year. And the question is, what is your goal? Right. And for me, like I said, I discovered that my passion is working with my clients, and running a team to sell that kind of volume takes me away from that. And, I've had a team. Every agent that has joined my team has been successful, so I know I can do it. But I think, putting my energy into someone that doesn't want to work as hard as me or has the same kind of drive as me is deflating. Kind of like going out on an appointment with a seller that doesn't really want to sell. So it's like, when I was shifting my energy from pouring into agents and then pouring into my clients, my quality of life was higher. So I said 2020 was one of my best years. I did a good balance between traveling and spending time with family, flipping houses, growing my portfolio, selling, closing deals. I just want to replicate what I did last year and sell 100 homes and continue to do everything I did, but be even more efficient on it.
Got it. Yep.
So then I can have even more time to do the things, more purposefully.
Yep. Yep. I like that. That's really, yeah, that's great. Do you think you'll sell real estate forever? Like, do you ever plan on doing something at some point in the future? Or do you always see yourself in some capacity in the industry?
I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Awesome. Me neither. What is your advice to someone on the Zoom that wants to get to where you're at? They want to do over 20 million a year. What would you tell them? Or if you were coaching someone, what would you say?
Real estate is not a hobby. So when people say I want to get into real estate and do it part-time, it's like, don't do that to your friends and family. Like that is like, that's kind of like ethically, like, don't do that. You're doing a disservice to your friends and family by doing that. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do something, you got to put your all into it. You can't just like try and then give up every time it doesn't work. And you have to realize, like, if you don't enjoy lead generating, then this is not the business for you. Like, case in point, like you just can't not want to talk to people.
Yep. You got to get out there and make it happen, right?
Right. So it's like and for me, like money isn't ever the motivator. For me, it's my reputation. But for me, it's being able to do my best and make sure that they are so happy that they're going to refer everyone to me.
Yeah.
And money is just a byproduct.
Yeah.
I've had agents where they'll like calculate the commission before like they even like meet with the client or close on the client. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, if that's what you're focused on, you're in the wrong business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, what can you do to make sure that you're going to give the best, like roll out the red carpet for your client is what you should be focused on.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I appreciate that. And what percent of your business is listing focused and what percent's buyers?
Last year it was 39. Here, let me pull it up. 39 sellers. Got too many tabs open. What's 91 minus 39?
I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask. Where's my calculator? It would be
52 and 39. 52.
Yep. Okay. So a little bit more focus on the buy side and then the listing 39 on the listing
side.
When
I first started real estate, it was really heavily buyers.
Yeah.
Right? It was probably 75-25, and now it's starting to even out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my goal moving forward is to work smarter, not harder, right? So like you have to target your audience. And when you first start in real estate, anyone is your audience, right? Yep. At that point, for me, it's like, I know what I know I'm good at what I do. And I know that I know my value, right? So I'm not just sitting here taking any kind of business. Not all business is good business to me. And that's something that I learned in 2019. Man, I took a listing and got him an offer and he's like, not selling. And I'm like, well, sir, we have a contract here. He's like, sue me. So I've learned that contracts don't mean anything. At the end of the day, it is who you choose to work with. And they can burn you at any time. So again, like not all business is good business. You have to you have to decide if you want to work with them too, because you can put all this energy in and they're going to say, not selling. And it's like, I put in all that work and I'm not going to get a commission unless I go out and sue this person. There's no real estate police that's going to say, hey, you need to go pay Amanda Lee this $8,000. So it's like, like when I'm going on my appointments, I have to sit there and question, like, is this who I want to work with? Are they going to appreciate what I bring to the table?
Yep.
Not everyone's worth that.
Exactly. You're actually interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you, which they teach us in Bold, right? It's got to be a win-win. Yeah. Right. Do you ever let clients go? Have you ever had to fire a client? Or have you got?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a very straight to point person that if they are not serious, they're not going to want to work with me. Right. So I kind of like filter them out just by being who I am. I believe that it's important to set proper expectations. If something doesn't go your way, it's because you didn't set the proper expectation. So I had a lady call me off of, like, she's like, yeah, I saw your profile on Zillow and I really hope that this will work, because the last realtor that I was working with, my dad didn't like him because the dad's buying the house. And there are two engineers in Iowa, right, helping their daughter in Minneapolis buy a house. So you can see like those barriers that you're going to get by having an out-of-state, person that's going to fund the deal.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, here's the expectations. Like, I'm going to help your daughter buy a house, but if you're requiring to see all the houses before we make an offer, then it sounds like we shouldn't be looking at any houses if the offers are due at 5 p.m. today. He's like, nope. So it's like, okay, well, as long as she's okay with it, then that's fine. I'm not going to waste my time. So I already see what the potential issues are going to be and set the proper expectations. So then everybody then has good results.
You're on the same page. And I bet people appreciate that about you. Direct and to the point.
Right.
Excellent. Well, let's open it up for questions from the agents in the training room, because I'm sure there's quite a few, and anybody on the Zoom. What questions do you have for Amanda? And you guys are on, you're unmuted in the training room, so you're gonna wanna unmute yourself. There's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I was just trying to help. Any questions, Bueller? I know everything about you, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Ask her a question.
Ask her a question. You guys, come on, seriously. There's got to be questions brewing.
I have one.
Okay.
What made you want to get into real estate?
Someone literally just told me, say you should get into real estate. As I mentioned earlier, like I didn't even know what real estate was before this was brought to my attention. So like I didn't jump on this bandwagon like everyone else did. Like I had to be convinced to be a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know now that you wish you knew then?
April stumped you.
I think it's important to really track your numbers. I think the database is probably the biggest thing. Like up until recently, my phone was my database, right? I never entered it anywhere else. So now that I have to pull list for my emails, pull list to do like certain marketing mailers and stuff like that, it is important to have a database, feed it, and build it, and also like maintain it, because I spend a lot of money sending out stuff, and when they get returned to me, it is the pain that causes me to make sure that I'm doing my DTD2 to make sure that I'm not wasting money on people that are going to have it returned to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can't do your 36 touch plan without a database. So start now, and then you don't have to have the pain of reprogramming yourself once you get to the point where you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do client events?
I'm sorry?
Do you do client events?
Yeah, so I love throwing parties. That was kind of something that shifted from when I started real estate, is that now it's like my clients are my friends, right? So I did a pumpkin giveaway in October because with everything going on, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, because usually I'll have an end of the summer barbecue, and I did a pumpkin giveaway and I had probably 100 people show up. And the goal, you have to understand what the purpose of the event is. The event is to be able to have a reason to call people to provide value, come from contribution. And then when you invite people there, your goal is to get referrals. So you need to have like raffles and stuff like that to generate people to give you referrals. And then after the event, it's important to like post all the photos and make sure that you let everybody know what they all missed out on. Because I had a lot of people that are like, man, that looks so much fun. I should have made, I'll make sure I come again next year, or I come to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have because, you know, I do. So one of the other things that makes me jump out of bed every day is that I have referral partners or vendors that I work with that now look at me as a business resource, right? So my electrician, my HVAC person, my home warranty lady, my lender, like they depend on me now, right? So it's like, I need to make sure that I continue to bring business to them so that they can, you know, provide for their family. For every Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's so nice to receive like cards from them and say, you know, because of you, we were able to do X, Y, and Z. So it's like, those are the people that hold me accountable now. You know what I mean? So then when I do my own personal flips, getting an electrician out or getting a person to put my countertops in, they're within like with a snap of a finger, because I've generated this business, this ecosystem that now I can do my job even better.
Yeah. You fill their bucket. So when you need something, they're there immediately to help you with what you need. Do you, this is off topic, but do you have anybody that's like, do you have a transaction coordinator? Do you have, like, are you doing all the entering names in your database and updating that information? Do you have anyone helping you as an individual agent?
So I'm categorized as an individual team.
Okay.
So I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that I've had probably since day one.
Okay.
So I pay him like $7.50, $8 an hour, 30 hours a week, and he does all of my transaction coordination. So he's the one that's doing all of my command opportunity stuff.
Got it.
And then he'll do like upload my supplements or get my listing to go live and anything that can be done remotely, right? And then I have an admin that I have in town that will work on my 36 touch plan, show my houses. She's a licensed agent, show houses, do open houses, put out signs for me, you know, anything else that I need help with.
Got it.
Beth has a question.
Yeah, so you had mentioned obviously that your top source, lead sources are client referrals, past clients, and Sphere, but what kind of cold calling do you do? FSBOs, expireds?
I don't do any FSBOs or expireds. You know, for an agent that doesn't have past clients or a big Sphere, you know, I have never been too proud to go door knocking in any kind of weather, because I have gotten a lot of leads from door knocking. And it's just to also get you acquainted with the neighborhood. So every time I list a property, I'll door knock the entire neighborhood to figure out what the demographic looks like, to get some information about the neighborhood, so that when I do the open house, like I'm just selling the heck out of the house. So one of my houses in South Minneapolis, the whole street was made up out of duplexes. And everybody that showed the house said that they were concerned about the duplex. During the open house, all the people from the duplexes came over and gave me the history of the neighborhood, that one person owned all of them and they unloaded all of them. And now they're all like owner occupying people that it's now owner occupied. So then when the lady came in that was interested in the house, I explained all this stuff to her and I'm like, oh yeah, I just met the neighborhood and this is what they said. Then she put in an offer in. So it's like, when it's your listing, it's your job to sell it. And I feel like by sitting in an open house, I for sure sell the houses. But no, I don't do any cold calling. I already have enough people in my database to call. But yeah, I mean, you just have to constantly call people that you do have contacts for and ask them, who should I be contacting right now that I can help with their real estate goals?
Will you explain to everyone real quickly what the DTD2 is for those that don't know?
Well, it's a schedule for all the 52 weeks of what letters you should be focused on. So when you have your database, make sure you mark it with the letter of their last name, because then you can just click that letter and then it will all pop up to you. So you know exactly who to call. I mean, the name of the game is to get yourself out there. If there's people that I know that have their phones, you go to your phone and you go to your contacts and you go to the bottom of how many people are in there. Like, look at that number. Right? So like some people only have like 200 numbers in there. How are you going to sell houses if you only have 200 numbers? It doesn't even make sense. I have like 3,400, you know, like, and like, you just need on your Facebook. I have over 2,500 people on my Facebook. Like people that have 200 friends on Facebook, you're not going to sell houses. You need to put yourself out there. Like,
Go
how
make
are
some
you going to
friends.
find anybody if you don't even have a big enough phone book or, a big enough Facebook following?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would say get onto Facebook and start clicking everybody you knew from high school, from college, from any of your groups that you're in, and just like build that.
Go make some friends, right? Yeah, they're out there.
Like everybody that I meet, even at the gym, I'm like, hey, are you on Facebook? Yeah. How do I find you? And I add them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it.
So like, yeah, you're not gonna sell more than 30 homes a year if you're not gonna be bold.
Mm-hmm. Do you use any of the campaigns in Command, like the lead accelerator, like Facebook ads? Are you doing any of that?
Not yet.
Okay, got it. Okay. And do you have a lot of referral, like agents that refer you business from outside the metro area? Do you have a lot of referral partners, or is it mostly you're focused on that sphere, that local, those people that you know locally?
I mean, I'll get agents that will refer me business. But yeah, I'm just more focused on,
More focused.
I have so many people in my database that I don't even call yet. I shouldn't be even thinking about calling anybody else.
Got it. Yep. It's all about the database, your data bank. Yeah, great. Anyone else have any questions? Nope,
We're good in here.
we're good. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up a little early, and we're so grateful that you are willing to give us your time, Amanda. If anybody has a referral for Minneapolis and they don't want to travel to Minneapolis or go, in that direction, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I would say send me a text. I think all the other ways just kind of get lost in the cracks. So
Yep.
send me a text.
Send you a text. Okay, great.
Mhm.
Excellent. Well, we wish you all the best in 2021. I'm excited to see what you accomplish. You are a very bold agent, and we're really grateful that you gave us your time and shared with us a little bit about your story and what you do and how you do it, and how, pouring into our agents. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.